This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, welcome. Welcome to the Park and Rec meeting. I guess first order of, John's recording now, so I like to call the meeting order at, 6:42. First order of business is review and approval of minutes from last meeting. I'm not sure, did everybody get a copy of those? Take a look at them. So any changes, alterations, adjustments? Anyone?
Nope.
Can I get a motion then to approve the minutes?
So moved.
All right, I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I got Patricia,
Aye.
Carolyn.
Aye.
Okay, perfect. Meeting minutes approved as submitted unanimously, excuse me. All right, so first order of business is just a general public speak. As you can see from the agenda tonight, we have public speak, and then we have a couple, we're talking about the dog park, skate park, and we'll go through our regular pool project and summer programming. So is there anyone here that would like to address a public speak non-related to the other two items we have on the agenda? No surprise. Okay, so with that, I guess I will open the floor to the dog park. Now, part of what we're trying to do, just let me give a quick synopsis before we get cranked up. So we had a meeting, last meeting, we had the GZA guys in to discuss plans, dog park, skate park in the Ferry Street parcel. So at that point, we basically narrowed everything to just discussions regarding the GZA report and that parcel in general. So tonight, what we would like to do, because we have new members on the board, they have not been through the history of what's gone on between discussions of the dog park and skate park. So as I told the groups last week, we would have another meeting to allow you to allow us to talk about other possible locations for those parks. Other thing I'd like to point out again is, and I'm speaking for more than myself. I'm speaking for everyone on the board when I say I don't think the question of whether we want a dog park or skate park, I think everyone on this committee agrees, has no issue with those. The issue is discussion of where is the best location, I think. So with that, I will open the floor to to you guys that want to discuss the dog park. When I would ask you before you talk, please identify who you are so my secretary, Kira, can make sure she's got you logged in. So, yeah, I guess. Sorry. Since we're in the official room, I guess we got to be official.
My name is Lisa Downing, and I live at 23 Beechwood Avenue in Easthampton. One question, is this a dialogue or is it just hearing comments at this point? Are we having a conversation or just is it one way or two way, I guess?
It can be two way.
Okay, great.
If you've got questions or we got questions, since you're going to,
Okay.
at this point, let's get it all.
The last meeting that was focused on GZA wasn't a two-way conversation, so there's definitely questions and comments I have around GZA because of, at least my perception, is that is where the Parks Commission has invested recently money on the study, and there's certainly a plan laid out. So is this appropriate for me to?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
You want this?
So I guess the thing that I'll start with is just the shocking price as a taxpayer. I've been with the parks. I'm a vice president of the Friends of the Easthampton Dog Parks as well as being a resident. And I went into this project thinking we were going to have this $250,000 grant. We would have a few additional expenses and a lot of volunteer labor to get a park in our city at a very low cost. And that seemed prudent and doable. It's doable. 5 years ago we were talking about this, and so to see this and this price tag is absolutely shocking to me. So I just have to state that the idea of that site being owned by the city and being a parcel that, in the grand scheme of things, the city would want to rehab I appreciate. I really do. I'm all for renewal, and I think it's great the things that we've been able to renew. So, and I know that costs money. I feel that having that renewal project and that price tag inflated with the dog park is really, if you look at the GZA report, the section that's specifically around the dog park. Now there is some like entrance work and stuff, but it's $150,000 of this $853,000 project. So this is a lot bigger. The city and the Parks Commission is recommending taking this on. It has a lot more to do with, I think, renewal than it does to finding a feasible location for a dog park, in my mind. We have asked our members where they want things, and the board actually went through an exercise to compare the sites, sort of pluses and minuses, sort of taking away the costs. And Ferry Street has a number of concerns as compared to the two other locations that I'm going to put on the table here. Is the corner of Plain and Strong. It's a small parcel. There's currently a children's play structure there, and then some sort of unused park space. And then Nonotuck Park, because that's the one that we've been wanting forever. And, their membership overwhelmingly thinks makes the most sense. So wastewater odors, yes, they're present at Ferry Street and not at the other locations, just for the enjoyment of the space. Access to easy and close parking, and I think this is probably the most, outside of the price, the most concerning issue for me, because one of the things about a dog park is that you have a dog park for people who don't have easy access to walk a dog. It's a great way to exercise your dog when you are not in the physical condition to be taking long walks with your dog. That's one of the reasons to use a dog park. And to have a park where there's very limited parking and no close by parking is completely unacceptable. That is outside of why you would want to have a dog park. There is close by parking at both Plain and Strong and Nonotuck Park. A safe location, I think this has a lot to do with the number of people around, and Ferry Street, from members of ours who have gone out and looked at it, feels isolated. Now that may change with, if it is able to be transformed. I don't feel as strongly about that one. Plain and Strong is also sort of isolated. Nonotuck Park, not just because of the foot traffic that's already there. Easy access to water, which for a dog park is important to provide dogs with water. There is no easy access to water at Ferry Street. There is at the other two locations. Easy access to lighting, so being able to have this park be safe. There's not at Ferry Street. There is at Plain and Strong and Nonotuck. Ease of car entry to park. Again, we've talked about that, but I think that also has to do with other kinds of emergency vehicle access for safety issues, and that's a real concern for me. That presents itself at Ferry Street and not at Plain and Strong and Nonotuck Park. Free from contaminated soil. Now, the report talks about stripping a whole bunch of soil and relaying soil, and testing has been done. Our members, I think, universally feel that this is not a safe location. Dogs are known. I mean, if all of any activity to have dogs that are barefoot, you don't wear shoes, they're running around, they're digging, they're licking their paws, they're kicking up dirt. It just doesn't seem like there's any way to turn that brownfield into a safe place for a dog park. Large removal of trees and bushes. That's a huge expense. I don't want to take our time and pull out how much it is, but that is certainly a consideration at Ferry Street. There would need to be some of that at Plain and Strong. There would not need to have, depending on the location, that would not be a consideration on a park. Open all year, which is, I think, the number one thing that the Parks Commission said to us when we had this conversation with you folks 18 months ago or so, is that, the park can't be open all year if there's not the funding for it. I get that. But Ferry Street and Plain and Strong, could it be open all year? Could there be plowing to that site? Again, it was very unclear looking at the GZA, hearing the GZA conversation, whether that is actually accessible all year round. The centrally located. Ferry Street and Plain and Strong rated lower up that one. Nonotuck Park, again, it comes across the strongest there. And relatively inexpensive to construct. Ferry Street, that's a no. Plain and Strong, that's a maybe. Nonotuck Park says yes. So across all of our considerations, and we really tried to be thoughtful in terms of how we framed this, Nonotuck Park continues to come out on top for us. And I really wish that the Parks Commission would reconsider that as a potential location and certainly consider other locations because the Ferry Street just does not feel like a good fit for so many reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else? And I don't mean to be, but we'd like to try to limit comments to about 3 minutes, please. Otherwise, we could be here till midnight. So if you would, please, I appreciate the detail in which you were expressed. I'm pretty sure you covered almost everything that anyone else would want to cover.
Yes.
But so is there anyone else that has anything they'd like to add regarding the dog park? I've got a hand. Kai C, I believe.
That's Kate Collins.
Kate Collins.
Yes, thank you, Eric, for the intro. I appreciate it. So just one quick comment about the Plain and Strong Street site. So it was my understanding that the alternative proposal for that site was actually as a community garden. And speaking of transport, because it was so small, it wasn't necessarily a viable site for a combination of a dog park and a skate park. Potentially for a small dog park, but the other alternative usage for that site, that proposal was for a community garden for folks that didn't have transport to the Park Hill Community Garden, because that actually, speaking of isolated sites, is something that is kind of isolated. So I just wanted to put that on the table. So for folks that don't have a car, they don't necessarily have access to community gardening. So the Plain and Strong Street or was that a different parcel? So I know it's not necessarily a conversational, but you know, for folks that don't have cars, getting out to Plain Street would be really difficult. You know, that's kind of an isolated location for folks that don't have a car, where both Ferry Street and Nonotuck would be walkable. So I may be misremembering the other small parcel that was originally proposed. That was an alternate site for a community garden. So kind of reshuffling my brain here for a sec, but the Plain Street is kind of far out for anybody that doesn't have a car also.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Good evening. I'm J.B. Kwasinski, 47 Hannonbrook Drive. I'll be very brief.
No worries, Ken.
I think the speaker covered quite a bit in terms of an overall analysis. Couldn't add any more. I think if we really look at it, Nonotuck Park is the ideal place for a dog park. That being said, you're also going to be looking for a group of people to be committed. In my studies of dog parks across Western Massachusetts, I found that it's the friends of the dog park that really keep everything going, uplift the location, all the issues that you're going to face. Listen carefully to what they have to say. They're the group that will be involved in maintenance and fundraising and caring for the dog park. It's important constituency. Thanks.
Go ahead, Jim.
Set my timer. I'm Jeff Bagg. I'm a resident. I'm speaking as a resident of Easthampton on 49 Taft Ave. I wasn't going to speak about the dog park, but been familiar with some of the discussions that people have had over the past several years. And, you know, I really support the first speaker and some of the points that they made. I would just remind the commission that on record, the only official reasons that the commission has stated against Nonotuck are maybe not factually correct. And I think as you embark on these next discussions, you really need to have a deeper discussion. The minutes that are available for that meeting reveal that Director Mason says that it would cost $1 million for the park to go at Nonotuck, and there really should be some facts and figures put behind that. Dog waste contributing to the problems with cyanobacteria in National Pond were referenced in the minutes, which my research shows that that's not the case. So I think those facts and figures need to be double checked on behalf of the commission as you approach this for coming up with reasons why you don't think Nonotuck is the right location. Hazardous tree removal was mentioned in those minutes. And the Parks Director has done some good efforts at removing hazard trees as part of projects. And I think this is an opportunity to actually remove hazard trees as part of a project at Nantucket. So I think these kinds of issues really need to be more thoroughly investigated by the commission, and would request that information be made publicly available, that this is not a real community meeting. So when you do a community meeting and you want public input, some outreach is totally necessary. Otherwise you're getting a small subset. The chair has complained that the number of people participating in these meetings seems low, but I saw zero outreach or effort to get people to this meeting to talk about this. And I think the last thing relative to Nantucket is it's totally worth the effort to have the funds generated at the gate to go to 100% to the Parks Department. And the dog park represents a huge new set of memberships and fees that you would get from considering it. So I would urge you to really consider now. Again.
I'd like to respond to some of the statements that you made, Mr. Bagg, particularly because you insinuated that the park director was not being honest or forthcoming. I made the motion in that particular meeting to pursue a site outside of Nantucket Park because at the time, the sole source of funding was from the Stanton Foundation, who said that they would give a grant of $250,000 to the dog park, but they would not grant it to a location in Nantucket Park because it was not open year round. That is why we made that motion at that time. So for you to, and yes, and actually I do think that this department is basically running $1 million operation on a $250,000 budget. So maybe Director Mason did not have the exact facts and figures, but for you to be insinuating that he's being dishonest, I take very deep offense to that.
So, yeah, and actually just to make another clear point, every member of the committee was sent minutes for that meeting, so they had a chance to review those minutes before. And it was the major reason, if I recall correctly, is that it's not a year-round open, not able to be open year-round.
So now that that's off the table, we can look forward and move ahead rather than rehashing 18-month-old gripes.
I've got a question for we talk about Nantucket Park as a whole. Is there specific locations? I know there's been a few floated around, but is there a specific location within Nantucket Park that you guys are looking for?
Yeah, that would help. That would actually be really helpful.
Can anyone describe that location to us again, or your most desired one?
And I'd like to offer some comments to our president, John. My name's Melissa Encampo. I'm on South Street, and I have been involved with the dog park, not from the very, very beginning, but I would say the past 3 years. And I just have to say that whether you are looking at Nantucket as a feasible location or not, I just want to say that Nantucket Park is the unofficial dog park for dogs that are leashed. And so we are asking for a parcel to be determined that is safe and that will be enclosed within Nantucket Park. I was at that meeting when we talked with Director Mason. We all took a vote. I just want to say that that was a different commission. There are different members now. Time has gone by and opinions and perceptions and costs have changed. So I just want to reiterate, Nantucket Park is the unofficial dog park of Easthampton. That's what we hear from our city councilors. That's what we hear from our supporters, who I have to count over 500 at this point. You have a network of people who are willing to participate. So I want to thank you for your master plan that's posted on the website. I know that we both have aligned our mission statements as far as having a clean, safe park and enhancing the quality of life for all. You mentioned walkers in your master plan, and I just want to add dog walkers. Please consider dog walkers, consider walkers in your master plan. I really appreciate the vision in that master plan. I just feel really strongly that we need to find a place for dogs to go unleashed in an enclosed place safely. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Still waiting.
So before we get into I know that we've had conversations already, Joan and myself and John have had conversations already. So part of and John can correct me if I'm wrong, part of what we can talk about here tonight is allowing you to investigate locations inside park property. So typically the way the system works, as I understand it, is we ask you to come to us and ask us permission. You say, I want to investigate something in the park. We say, go ahead. We ask for that because as part of this meeting, if we run into someone on the street and if I just say to Joan, go ahead, Joan, and no one else knows, it's kind of part of allowing us to be aware. Same thing that the skate park would be with the same courtesy, basically. So I guess part of what we can talk about tonight, or part of what we are talking about tonight, and my friend here has asked you the question. So I would ask if you want to look at something or have someone look at a plan, then I guess that's something we can discuss here. If you want permission from, I guess what you're saying, if you're asking us to give you, I guess I'm leading you down a path. Would you like us to give you permission to investigate a location at Nonotuck Park? So, go ahead.
Is this, obviously, you gave some kind of breakdowns on where the spots are. Is this last just showing kind of Nonotuck Park? I know there's a spot that's certainly not what you guys are hinting towards, or still it's the last page.
Okay. There's the
That's the splash pad area, right? The old, or the like old, yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
So at this point, obviously that really does, right now, it's kind of a hard time for us to try to review that, but okay. So
Any other areas in there, or just
is that,
not? That's what that survey said. Okay. Hold on.
I know where it is, yeah. So when you guys talk about sufficient parking for, yeah. Sure, yeah, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
I can barely hear her answer.
I'll be louder.
Joan, when we talk about parking, what is sufficient parking for a dog park of the size that you guys would request? If we talk about spaces.
Places. I was at South Hadley the other day, and there are at least 16 spaces that are available at South Hadley. South Hadley though also has a road that you can park on, and they have fundraisers. Presently, from the GZA's report, there is no parking available for 7th Street. I understand there was a quasi easement that might be allowed, but that's quasi, not in fact, and it has to be in front of the gate for the door. You can't get 1,000 feet away. Dog parks, Amherst, Chicopee, Holyoke, South Hadley, they all have parking right in front. As far as Nonotuck Park goes, if you want to, you've got the area by the playground. It's not that they have to get an ADA compliant playground or something there. When you make the turn past number one, down that road, you have to have parking. You can just make parking go head in and have the dog park there. There's nothing there right now that would take up space. So you're trying to park it.
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Is there any other questions for Joan since we got her up on the podium? Okay.
I guess I have a question. Has it been agreed that the park is going to be open year round?
That's something that is at this point is not happening.
If it's not open year round, people will still bring their dogs and they'll park at the high school, they'll bring their dogs and they'll walk their dogs all the way over to the skate park.
So that kind of
Can you speak into the microphone, please? It's coming in very muddled for us online.
Sorry. So if I could, so that defeats the whole purpose of saying that you need someplace close to the park, because basically a dog park is built for people who can't walk their dogs. So we're gonna have to walk them into the park in the wintertime. Not to mention the fact that the roads are not typically cleared. And I believe, I don't know, before I say something illegitimate that I have to be tested on, my understanding is the only reason that those roads get plowed is for access to sorry, my boss.
Yeah.
So that, I guess there's a lot of issues, and I don't want to start debating back and forth.
Andy,
but-
can you just speak into a microphone? They're hard to hear you.
Okay, so I guess and that's one of the major reason, and I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth again in this committee, one of the major reasons why we were against the fact of a dog park at Montauk is the fact that it's not going to be open year round. Not my understanding in the near future. There were safety concerns, people coming in, coming out in the wintertime. You talk about bathrooms, you talk about amenities, the bathrooms are closed.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say.
I walk in the park.
Okay.
Typically, because I like the solitude.
Right.
But it's very difficult.
Can you get to the microphone?
I
Sorry.
didn't want to do that.
Unfortunately,
Then you have to yell.
Well, no, because they can't hear us.
Anyway, my name is John Carney and I live on 60.
It's still very soft for us.
Is that one not on?
Yeah, no, this is on. I think the problem is that's the mic, right? So.
Come on over.
I think it has to be through the laptop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming through.
So I have to go over there.
Yeah. Come join us.
Come on down.
Or do you have
You're the
a-
next
Can
contestant.
somebody call in and put a phone over there?
I can do that.
And then just put your phone on speaker.
So-
Yeah, that would be great.
So I was just saying, I don't know why I'm drawn into this. I walk in the park in the winter, and I walk because I like the solitude, and it is closed, and it's often very icy. And, I used to be agile, but I'm just wondering, if you don't have it open in the winter, how are people going to use it? So that's my point.
that's the question.
Quick response to that.
You have to come over here.
Come on down, Lisa.
Yeah, thanks for it. Yeah, so I will say that it's not ideal, and I think that needs to be acknowledged, but there's also, I think, hardcore dog park people who will come out at all weather, and then it's really more of a fair weather thing, where a lot of people, especially because it's a social thing, you're standing around with your dogs and hanging out. I mean, it would be great if it was a year round, but I think having it available with close parking seasonally is better than having it open without close parking all year round.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that the consensus of the dog park folks? I mean, because realistically, at the funding level that the department is receiving from the city, being open year round just is not a possibility. So if the a compromise, the best of all worlds, is a dog park in the park that's open seasonally,
That changes the
the conversation considerably. Yeah. Tishva's raised a hand.
Can you hear?
Hey.
Can you hear? Go ahead.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Great. I guess since we have finance committee folks on this call joining us for this conversation, I guess I want to just get a temperature check of like, if the Parks Commission was to work with the dog park folks to explore this avenue, like, would there be opportunities for us to like work with the finance committee or work with the city government to like increase funding for the parks department so that there's able to be more support for this department to be able to do the things that the community is asking for this department to do?
I'm not sure who you can answer that question. Something can't be me.
Connie?
Hi, Connie. First of all, can the people online hear me?
You have to unmute your phone.
Can you hear me now?
Better, but echoey. I think Connie, I think you need to turn off the sound on your phone, but you can unmic. You can still use your mic.
Down, but there's an echo.
That's
Is
great.
that better?
It's better.
Okay, great. I'm staying here. Can you hear me?
Can you hear? Yep, yes, say yes.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah. So, Connie Denham, I live in precinct 4. Just to be transparent, I'm also a city councilor, and ironically, I sit on the finance committee. So I can't make promises, right? But I would love the opportunity to sit down with the commission and Director Mason and I'm sure other folks on the council or on the committee would love to talk about how we can work with you all to make it possible to keep the park open all year round, right? I don't know what that would look like, right? But I would love very much to have that conversation. I think as a city councilor, that's one of the things I hear a lot from people is park's not open in the wintertime, right? And people are still kind of trekking up there and things like that. People are using the paths, people are walking their dogs on
Bocce courts.
using the bocce courts, right? And I think that would be a great added, it's already an asset, right? But to be able to have it in the wintertime would be awesome too. So we'd love to talk about that. And since we're talking about Ferry Street, I'll just, yes, as a city councilor, but yes, as a resident, I would be very concerned about the cost of having the dog park and the skate park at Ferry Street. I think that's a really big financial ask when we have so many other kind of things happening. And I think either Nonotuck or Millside, I know we're not talking about the skate park, those just seem maybe not perhaps as expensive. And I know this isn't the place, and I probably should have said this during public speak, but um, um, it was discussed at one point, Millside as a quiet space, and I'm just thinking about the lot on Ferry Street. I would love to see that as a memorial park and really honor the history of Easthampton and the factories. I would love to see that as a quiet walking space where we could actually have the water tank there in some way as a monument or a memorial in some way so that people can learn about the history and the significance of factories in this community. I think that would be a really wonderful tribute, and particularly to you know, the area there, that the housing and that those neighborhoods over there. I think that would be just a really wonderful tribute to them. But in terms of answering Commissioner Patel's question, I would love to work with you all on finding a way to be able to do that and how I can be most supportive of you all. I'm going to leave this here.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. And I think I've got someone had their hand raised.
Actually, Andy, if we could, before Alex. So a couple of commissioners have commented online. Commissioner Patel, both Anderson and Patel have said that the commission would love to have the conversation and potentially work around looking into having the park open year round. Commissioner Patel has also stated that they think your idea is very interesting as far as the memorial park. So go ahead.
Okay, now Alex, you're up.
Thanks so much. I just want to throw my voice into this conversation.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Hold on.
My apologies. Go ahead.
You gotta work the mic.
Yeah. Apologies if it's noisy here. There's an air conditioner running. But my name is Alex Rubik. My child attends school in Easthampton, as well as participating in various programs that are already available for skateboarding in Easthampton. But I just want to throw my voice in to stress that Millside would be a great location for an outdoor park. As the parent of a child who, in the past few years has really, really jumped into skateboarding with both feet.
Alex, excuse me, we're talking about the dog park right now?
Cool. I'm just gonna throw it out there. We need a safe and visible space, and easily accessible space is needed. And it's pretty lacking as it is already at Millside Park. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks.
All right. Is there anyone else with, as part of the, would like, here comes John. Kira's got a question.
I'm gonna turn this back on.
Yep.
Yours off?
And mine off. Thank you for your assistance.
I just want to know what our next step is.
I think basically at this point, I think there will be a motion made by the commission to allow you to investigate possible locations, alternate locations for the dog park.
Okay. Is that something that is done now or? Okay.
If I have someone willing to make that sort of motion. Before, I'm sorry, one question. What, can you tell me what it is you guys handed us tonight? Because before, I mean, I know wherever it is, can you explain just quickly, if you don't mind?
I handed you a comparison sheet between what's available at Ferry Street, what's available at Nanatuck, and if we had to choose plain and strong, what would be there, showing that Ferry Street is not conducive to having a dog park.
Okay.
I also included the option 1 from the GZA report, because that would be the only one we could use because it has both a large dog park and a small dog park. Option 2 only had a large dog park and then next to it, the skate park. All dog parks, if they're a good dog park, have both because little 8 and 10 pound dogs do not get along with the 70-pound dogs. And so those are the schematics from GZA, a schematic that we had done at Plain and Strong. And the last one was just the general area where we think would be ideal for at Nanatuck Park.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there, go ahead, Karen.
So mine kind of straddles both. So maybe this is a good time to ask. It was just at Ferry Street in general. I know I'd emailed you and John Mason about our questions after our last meeting with GZA regarding the DPW, if they had input about that access road and developing that, and then also public safety. And so I just want to hear their input at some point tonight.
John, you want to do that now or you want to wait? Shrugs and shoulders.
I can do it now, or if you want to wait till after
yes,
the skate park discussion, I can do it then. Doesn't
Hold
matter.
on, we lost you, kid. You want to wait till the end to have that conversation to answer the questions that were put forth, or you want to do it right now?
It doesn't matter, whatever you guys want.
Well, since it was brought up, you can give them the general gist of what the discussions you've already had.
Yeah, so if there was construction, DPW would have no problem using the access point through the lay down area and behind the wastewater treatment plant. And they would leave that access available for emergency use if needed. They wouldn't have a concern of putting up some kind of gate, but having that road stay available for emergency access if need be. Public access through the wastewater treatment plant area, that road would, they would not like to see that at all. They would not be in favor of that.
Can I pause you there for a second?
Sure.
Just when we talked to GZA, they were saying that like the construction vehicles could use that access as it is now pretty much to get their vehicles in and out. But if public safety were to use it, it would have to be like a level road and they would have to construct a road to go through there to safely get the emergency vehicles in and out. Did DPW say anything? I don't know if my question was detailed enough. Maybe you didn't ask them, but we would have to include that cost in there. Would they be okay with that?
They would be okay with any access that involves emergency access.
Okay, thank you.
As far as police and fire and EMTs, fire said whatever access points are the easiest for emergency vehicles, whether it is down the rail trail, whether it's coming from 51 Ferry where the gate is, or coming from the wastewater treatment plant. One of the examples that the chief cited was that if someone cracks their head right outside of where that area is now, they have to respond to it in that area. So they can get there. whether it's at the rail trail in front of where the proposed areas would be, or if it's 30 yards in from there. But they have to have access to any point, and that is a public rail trail usage. So they've been onto the rail trail for issues and people falling on bikes and other things like that. So they didn't have a major concern on that end. But they did, Chief did say the quickest access point is always the best when it comes to emergency vehicle access.
And then what about police regarding monitoring?
I sent a message to Chief Alberti and Officer Scribner. I think he has a different title now, Captain, I believe, and didn't hear back either way on their thoughts for this property.
Okay, is there anything else? All right, is there anything else, anyone else, since we're at this point with the dog park? Is there any other discussion? So I guess I'll ask if there's anyone that would like to make a motion to allow the dog park, Friends of the Dog Park, to investigate possible locations at Nonotuck Park.
I'd like to make a motion to allow them to access.
Is that you, Jessica? Is that you?
Yes.
Just a second. Okay. All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jessica? Carolyn? Carolyn, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay, good. So I guess pass unanimously. So good luck.
Yeah.
All right, now I guess we will move into the skate park, and maybe I should ask this question before we talked about the dog park. You guys also left us with quite a bunch of information. Would someone care, before you do the public speak, would someone in 1,000 words or less tell us what it is you handed us so we can kind of have a rough idea?
You taking it from?
Are you ready?
Yeah, we ready. You're doing pretty good there, Kelly.
We good.
Okay, Eddie Camini. I live at 116 Pleasant Street, Easthampton. We put together this packet for all of the board members. We included a letter that the mayor and Omar signed off on. Basically, this was before the new commissioners came on, but it was basically saying that we didn't want to vote. We needed to explore the other locations. We started doing the skate park reboot in 2019. We explored the site right behind this building, ended up not working out. So we came back to the commission and said we had to explore sites that you might have throughout the city. And so we looked at Daly Field, that kind of came off the table, and then Millside Park. And then the Ferry Street site came up. So we started exploring that, and that's where we are today. We have a little facts and timeline part of this. Basically, like when the original skate park was here, right up until now. We talk about funds we've raised. We had 3 fundraisers. The first one, we raised about $1,500. Probably had 100 to 150 people attend. And then we had 2 more fundraisers at breweries in town, and we raised about 5,000 between the 2 of those. We talked about some reasons why we would like see a skate park at Millside. You know, it's an existing park that's in the city. It does need improvements. There are things people want to see there. We want lighting. It's got bathrooms, it's got water fountains, it's ADA accessible. We would like to bring a projector and a screen in for movie night. Like I said, lighting, power. I think with these upgrades, we can kind of improve the park. I did list out the events that are at Millside this year. Right now, there's 7 of them that are confirmed. Obviously, Mill Pond Live, that happens every year. But we're talking 8 events. and there's 365 days in the year. So I think the park is underutilized on that aspect. And then we put together a pros and cons list, just like the dog park did. We talked about some of the money and the cost that it would be. Right now, Ferry Street, you guys saw the GZA report, 2.2 million. It's a big number. Millside, it's pretty much build ready right now. Skate parks are building somewhere between $65, $85 a square foot. So we have a 10,000 square foot footprint. You're looking at 850,000 at the higher end. And then we did do a public survey at Cultural Chaos last year, and we included some of the results from that. Of the two proposed locations for skate park, 83% chose Millside Park, 17% chose Ferry Street. There's a couple other graphs in there, but I mean, I could go on forever. You guys are just gonna have to look at it on your own. I would like to make a point though, before anyone else speaks. I think we should give the people that are online right now an opportunity to speak, because they have lives and they probably want to get back to that.
Oh, I have a life too.
Yeah, but we're stuck here. They're not.
Okay, well, I appreciate it, but one thing I will point out, and that was pointed out to us, John put the comment in, there are more events than 8 events at that park. We do not publish private events there. So there are other events in that. There's more than the 8. And I don't know off the top of my head how many more, but there are more than 8, just as a matter of public record. So at this point, very good suggestion. Those of you that are online, we're going to give you the first shot. And Kay, I see I think you. Go ahead.
I just have a quick question, just to clarify, since it's not in color. Don't worry, I'm not putting it in color. I'm assuming like the yes is the 98%, the higher number. Sorry, yeah. The resident would be like the 70% versus non-resident 30.
Yeah, so the results are mixed in, but we have we have it in Excel form where we can break it down.
Okay.
But yeah.
Just a quick, can you tell me total number polled?
241.
So someone has pointed out online, if there was a skate park in Millside, we would have to share event scheduling. FYI is a comment.
Not an issue.
Is it an issue for private events?
Right. Yeah. I think that's the point that the question was, is that like if I'm having a birthday party for my mom, I might not want the whole town to know about it, for example. Okay. Yes, the person's confirmed that that was their concern.
Okay.
I think there are ways to say that space is reserved without disclosing who or what it's being reserved for.
Probably could.
That's fair. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Sorry.
Duh.
Private events. Any other questions at that point?
Tom, go to the.
Well, we're asking questions of this gentleman first before we have the people come. Oh, you're good? All right. So the people online, sorry, Casey, I see you're up. Go ahead.
Oh, what? I don't get a private intro from Eric this time. So Kay Collins, 4 Carroll Ave, Easthampton. So the primary reason I'm here to support the skate park is for my niece, Eilish Farrell. You can see a cute picture of her up there with her dad, Zach Farrell. But the other reason that I'm here, I think that having a place to get kids outside, get them active, obviously, I think we're all in favor of that. The other reason that I support specifically Millside over Ferry Street is I think that, all of us who have been here for a while and watched the development of Millside and the events there and watched the development of the businesses that abut Millside Park, in the mill buildings can tell you that there is a lot of interplay between those businesses and the events that go on there. So the more parents that are coming down and hanging out with the kids, the more interplay that there is going to be between those businesses and those families that are coming down to the skate park. So I think aside from the fact that it's going to benefit me directly because I get to go down and hang out and watch my niece skateboard, I think that there's going to be a huge interplay between the businesses and the families that come down there as we get more and more and more cool restaurants and cool businesses coming into those mills that are on that lower level of the buildings that abut that space. So I think that that should be a consideration as well. I think it's more accessible in general for families, for people with kids along the bike path than it is at Ferry Street. I think that's still yet to be a developed location, and I think that we should get this done sooner rather than later. And I do agree that, you know, having spaces reserved for private events is pretty common. I don't think anybody's going to be outraged by that.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that is phoning in that has a comment before I turn it over to the floor? Seeing no one, sir, you are up.
So I'm Tom Johnson. I live in 206 Main Street in Easthampton. I'm very new to this discussion, so maybe I have a very ignorant question. But I'm just wondering why Ferry Street was put forth in the first place. Like, what's the logic behind that location?
It was a space that became available as an option.
So just the availability of the space is the main reason.
Yes, one of the main reasons, yes.
I mean, I'm here to, I would echo everything that was said in the handout. At Millside, my son, I think the one thing I could add, my son is 9 years old. He does not like competitive sports. I am like over the moon that he's committed to skateboarding. He's getting more exercise in the last month and a half than he's gotten his whole life. And I'm so appreciative of that. It's such a welcoming community for kids who maybe aren't these traditional competitive kids. And just looking at those two locations, if this Millside's going to get way more use, I think we'll just benefit more from that. I know exactly where that location is. I had to double check exactly where the Ferry Street, other than the water tank. I still don't have a clear sense of where that is. And I can imagine that not being a very safe location if it is where I think it is. And so I would just echo the safety thing. I can imagine even letting my kid go on his own when he's older to Millside. I don't know that I could imagine him going to this Ferry Street location. So I would just echo the safety piece. And it seems like the money, as a taxpayer, it seems like the money is better on Millside in terms of saving more money, unless there's some argument I haven't heard about Ferry Street. That would be another really important reason for people who don't care about skateboarding at all. That if it's cheaper, all things being equal, cheaper is better.
Yeah, I agree, but I think in general, Ferry Street's a location that was being looked at being developed. One of the couple of the options looking at developing that parcel would be either a dog park or a skate park. Since there's been so much talk about locations and where they're put, so it got brought to the table when that parcel became available, it got dropped into the conversation.
It wasn't, other than that, that's okay.
Yeah.
I would like to say something.
Hi, my name is Nancy McDonald. We used to live on 20 Plymouth Ave in Easthampton. We now live in Westhampton. When my son was 16 years old, he came home and he said to me, Mom, he says, all the kids skateboarding on the street, they're telling them they're taking their skateboards away. And he goes, there's no place for the kids to go. And he really, really wanted to see his friends have a place to go. 2 weeks later, he was killed on the way home from school. We raised $20,000 and had that skateboard park up in 3 months. It was hard to do. Even now, my heart's pounding. It's going to be 27 years that my son's been gone. And I think of him every day. And we were promised when they took the skate park away that one day we went to the skateboard park and it was gone. Nobody called us to tell us. My father did the sign for his grandson that they never gave us back. And they stuck it up in Chesterfield and spelled his name wrong. That was a memorial that was taken away from him. And I'm asking now, they have been trying so hard for the skate park, and we've been coming to these meetings now for a couple of years, and you guys keep promising another piece of land. That piece of land on Ferry Street, that's never going to happen. You're just saying that to them so there won't be a skateboard park. And it was at Mill Site, it was called Eugene Flaherty Park in memory of somebody, and you guys took that away too. Why can't it go back there? It's like, let the kids have a place to go, help these people out, please. Let the memorial go back there again, please. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Set it off.
Is there anyone else?
I'm Julia Wojcicki. I live at 17 Pepin Avenue in the New City neighborhood. I have 3 kids. 2 of them are interested in skateboarding. I haven't been on a skateboard since 2001, and I'm not going to get back on. But I do travel that area a lot with my kids and my dog on the bike path and Millside Park. So I'm really familiar with kind of both areas we're talking about. I also, before moving back to this part of the country, I lived next to a skate park for 8 years. In the last place I lived, so I feel very familiar with how those features fit into a community or don't, and make them enhance the neighborhood or don't. Skate parks get used in all sorts of ways, not just for skateboarding, for BMX bikers, there's people on roller skates, there's kids on scooters, there's little kids running up and down the ramps when there's not skaters present. And it also brings people to just watch the skaters. That's what my family and I did with our toddlers. We would go over to the skate park, have a picnic, and watch people do tricks. It was an activity that we could do even as people that didn't skateboard. So I feel like it could be useful for much of the community, not just a small subset. When I think about the 2 locations, it's been brought up already: lighting, bathrooms, accessibility. One thing that we kind of, when I think about that skate park we live next to, there was a give and take with the community. So the people that were present, kind of just watching the skaters, it was like supervision for teenagers and younger kids in a really natural way. There didn't have to be police patrols going by every so often to kind of see what was going on. Teenagers weren't throwing their trash on the ground or, getting rowdy because people were there picnicking with their kids. And I think that that would be a very hard climate to occur at that Ferry Street location. I think it could occur very easily and naturally at Millside Park. Lastly, I think that as you consider the various sites, the city's climate goals should be present in your thinking. Which site, is going to get more people there by foot, by bike, reducing carbon emissions, which site, whether there's anything else that's in a more rural setting or more densely populated setting, is going to bring more people there on foot, reducing car trips. And then the amount of tree canopy that you would have to cut down to accommodate a skate park. You can't get acorns in your axles and you can't roll over sticks. So the canopy would have to be pretty far away from any skate park. It really couldn't encroach on it. Otherwise it would just, fill the area with, make it non-skatable. And I see that as a huge benefit of Millside, in terms of, our city's climate goals, which should fit into any decision different commissions are making.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else?
Good evening again. I'm Jeff Bag. I'm speaking as a resident for myself. I'm at 49 Taft Ave. Try to just keep it positive, but I just wanted to remind the commission that the city did an open space and recreation plan in 2021. It is sort of the primary guiding document for open space and recreation goals in the whole city. And as part of that effort, a postcard was mailed to every household in Easthampton, identifying the nature of the project, the survey, and the information and community meetings. And so that went to 9,300 households. And there were 360 survey responses And through that, the open space plan identifies the skate park as a high need. It's an analysis of need was identified. The skate park was embedded in that. And then recently, the city did a visioning exercise for the Pleasant Street Mills area, which included Millside Park. And so there was 2 community meetings, I believe. There was an online survey, and there was a pop-up event at Mill Pond Live. And all that's documented, and the overwhelming response to the idea of a skate park at Millside was positive. So just in terms of some of the outreach that has been done to frame this discussion, it goes back to the McDonald's. 2005, there was a fully engineered design plan for the skate park at Millside. And due to cost at that time, it never came to fruition. So, being part of this conversation as a resident, parent of 2 school-age children, Millside has a lot more compatibility. I think the ability for parents to rely on bringing their kids to that site, and the access to basketball courts and playgrounds and other activities in the bike path is really essential. Skate parks these days are different than in the 90s. So, isolating and segregating it out is just not the way it's being done. So it's more of an integrated goal to integrate it with other things. And so, and then keep track of my 3 minutes. I think I had 2 more points. The skate park group and others have talked about investing the money. All this talk about money could be invested into the city's existing parks. So Millside needs some enhancements and upgrades anyway, and to channel this money and investment into our existing parks makes the most sense in the world to invest in our existing parks. And time is of the essence. So it was 23 months ago that the commission decided they were going to investigate this other parcel, and so it's time to make a decision so that the group can start fundraising. A park of this nature, still the funding sources still takes 2 years. It's a year of design and a year of construction. So any decision that you prolong will prolong the park for 2 years in addition. So just urge you to really consider Millside and making a vote in the affirmative so that these additional efforts can go underway. Thanks.
So if I could clarify, has anyone else has anything, anyone else want to add? Sorry. Yep. Sure. I knew you weren't going to not have something to say, my brother. Remember, you got 3 minutes.
Yeah, gotcha. Hello, my name is Noah Helper McManus. I'm a resident 19 Berkeley Street. I'm also a small business owner of the Easthampton Skate Club here in town. I would just like to, obviously voice my support for Millside. Everyone who's spoken already has kind of been pretty clear and hit many of the talking points. I'd like to acknowledge that there was a number of emails sent to the Parks and Rec Commission and John Mason today.
Right.
I'd like to just make sure that those are read and accounted for. I'd also like to just really highlight the letter that was written by Mayor LaChapelle and Omar Gomez from November. That really brings up a lot of really good points about the perception of skateboarding and the maybe differences in how I feel like the Parks and Rec Commission of past has viewed skateboarding and the reality and the statistical reality. I'd really just like to make the point that as I've been running this indoor skate park for a little over 6 months now, and the majority of my students are between the ages of 7 and 11. And the perception that I've gotten from the Parks and Rec Commission is that skateboarders are showing up with mohawks and broken glass bottles and spray paint cans. And
see, I'm sorry, but I'm taking a little offense to that.
I take a lot of offense
to that, actually.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get volatile like that.
You have members of the old commission that are still on this board. So
certainly,
I don't feel that I feel that's a wrong portrayal.
Okay. So
go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Okay, great. I guess my point is that skateboarding is a youth activity and a popular one, and one that has a pretty strong community element to it, and one that is self-policed. If you put a skate park in the middle of the woods, you're going to get exactly what I have been told is a concern of, unsupervised vandalism, those sorts of things. Skate park in Millside obviously wouldn't have those problems. It's one of the most popular areas in the city, and there's constant traffic, foot traffic, bike traffic. There's plenty of parking. Obviously, all the reasons already been stated. A quick point about the private events at Millside, and I think Jeff Bagg kind of spoke on this as well, is that skate parks are not a detriment to public parks. Just because a skate park is there does not mean other things can't happen. And I don't believe that it would really take up any space that's productively used right now in Millside Park. It would add many elements and features to the park that is lacking currently, and it would be an addition, right? I don't think it would affect anyone who wants to have their mother's birthday party in Millside Park. I think it would be, if the mother was having a birthday party and she has grandchildren or children who use a scooter or a skateboard or a bicycle, it would be a really great addition to that birthday. And throughout the world, throughout the country, skate parks are a utilized element to public parks that have benefit to them. I think that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one more question.
So you tell the basketball players when they're playing basketball, if there's a birthday party, they can't go?
I don't know that we hold private parties past the gymnasium.
No, I'm talking about with the courts, down at the park, at Mill Park.
I have no idea.
I'm just curious to know, how come the skateboarders can't do something if
I
other
don't
people
think
can?
anyone on this committee is saying the skateboarders can't go, can't
Well,
do
so
it.
I just like to understand that because you said like if there's events going that,
No.
so I don't, so
No,
what
I
does
don't
that
think
mean?
that's not what was said. What was said was what was put on this piece of paper. But sorry, what was put on this piece of paper basically said there's only 8 events that happen at Millside Park over the acknowledged events. So what was pointed out is there are more than just this. So I think the thought looking at this would be, as it was said, there's 365 days a year, but this doesn't accurately portray how many events happen at the park. That's all it was.
That there, is there a problem with them being there? Do you tell everybody else there's events here so you can't be in the park? I'm just asking that. I'm just curious of why does it matter if there's an event or not if people are there?
No, I think there was a question from the public that was asked
I'm just asking if you could explain that.
that we had to answer. There's no feeling one way or another, at least from me on
I
the
think,
commission.
they commented about, do we publish if there's a
Correct.
private party going on? And like, if I'm holding a birthday party, do I want to announce to the city that I'm having a birthday party there? But we indicated there's obviously the 8 events that are public that we put out. We can also put that there are these days on the calendar that are reserved for private events that are occurring.
So
we don't have
Nancy,
to-
if I do have that fictional birthday party for my mother, we know there's a basketball court there right now. If there's a skate park there and I hold a fictional birthday party for my mother, we'll know there's a skate park there. I don't think anyone is throwing anyone out. It was just, we were literally just,
That's why I was confused.
yeah, no, it was literally just about making we had this document that was just given to us right before the meeting that says there's only 8 events. There probably are a good deal more. That's literally all that was being said. There's no one getting kicked out of the park.
Carolyn
So
has her hand up.
I can't throw, if there's one possible concern about larger events where you've got a lot of people around, where you've got a band there, and you're probably not going to want to have a bunch of people skateboard, right? Unless, again,
Skateboarding and music kind of coincide with each other. There's a lot of people at skateboard that are in bands and stuff too.
Hey,
It's not about-
I had a mohawk, so
I'm just,
that characterization
that's just-
is why I was offended there, dude. I was a punk rocker. Damn it.
So I'm just saying that would be a concern. I'm not saying that you've got to throw people out of the skate park. I'm just saying someone holding an event, a large event with a lot of people, whether you would want to have a bunch of guys doing skateboarding, I don't know. I'm not holding large events. I'm just saying it's a concern that's been raised. That's all I'm saying. I'm not for, I'm not against. So please, that's just a concern that has been raised. And who would be responsible to basically tell these guys, okay, we're closed. We got to close the park. We got an event here today.
How do you operate any other public facility?
Carolyn has a hand.
Go ahead, sir. typically we're not even getting into that situation, really.
That was what my question is, how about you tell other people if they're down there doing something while you can't?
I'm not sure what happens with the basketball court.
So this is, can I speak? Because I'm
Go
one of
ahead.
the people
Go
who
ahead.
have talked about this a little bit in the past, and that's that I'm looking right now at an aerial from the Millside Pond and the space. And part of my concern, it's not at all about not wanting a skate park. I think it's great. I love all of the information you presented. I can see that it's an addition to our community. It doesn't detract. My concern is, how does it affect the current gathering of our community in this space as it has evolves, over time? So I'm looking right now at an aerial photo from the Millside Pond live, and the way the courts are used, they're used for food trucks, and people are eating and gathering there in addition to the space in the circle. So I think that's part of the conversation too. It's not just does the commission want to have a skate park? It's looking at the whole use of Millside and understanding how to best utilize that space for the whole community. And so as far as the basketball court conversation, that space is used in different ways other than only as a basketball court. And that I have been struggling to understand, although I think you guys have provided great examples of some of the multi-use aspects of a skate park, but that's part of what I would like to see as a commissioner, to understand how the skate park isn't only used as a skate park, but can also flex to be used in other ways for the community.
Someone would like to answer.
Good.
Thank you for that question. In our very, very early preliminary designs of our site at Millside, there is stadium seating built out, kind of landscaped, grass, tiered angles facing the band shell and the rest of the park. There's also vehicle access on the back end of the skate park, close to the tree line. That would be a direct line to the band shell for food trucks, utility trucks, all that sort of thing. Our very, very early preliminary designs of the space had Mill Pond Live in mind, had other events in mind, larger events, different events than Mill Pond themselves. It's the skate park element is a piece of creating Millside Park as an actual usable park for everyone. Whereas right now, I feel like it's lacking in certain ways. It may have a really great 2-day event, but there's still muddy grass. I've heard stories of food trucks or utility trucks getting stuck in the mud trying to get to the band shell. This construction would alleviate a lot of those problems. It would create stormwater diversion underneath the concrete. The skate park itself could be utilized as a concrete pad to set up chairs and blankets and different other tents. It's got tiered seating because of the design elements of a skate park. Also provides new seating to the park, new elements, new lighting, new power. A skate park is not just a skate park. It can very easily transition into many other public uses. I think that answers the question.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. That actually is helpful.
Carolyn, sorry. Could you back up again?
Yeah,
You were muted for a moment.
He's getting tired. He's slow on the switch.
Go ahead.
You want me to go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I think that is helpful. And I think that part of, for me as a commissioner, being supportive of a project like this would be the recognition of the skate park being a flexible a piece of the park. And so some of the conversations of like, well, would it be open? Would it be closed? Like if it's able to be integrated into an event, it would maybe be used, but not as a skate park during an event. Do you know what I'm saying? And so am I thinking about this correctly? I'd welcome other people's thoughts.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing regarding, obviously, we have Nonotuck Park. I know there's a road race that occurs that goes through the park that we do shut it down at one point saying cars can't go in there. I would assume the skate park and Friends of the Skate Park would be open to, if we do put this thing in Millside, that we do have an event that requires we need space and we don't want people running around on scooters or skateboard. We can close it down as a city and just say, it's not open today, just like we closed down Nonotuck, just like we closed down.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, like you said, there's 365 days. So if we have one event that occurs that we need to say, we don't want people on the basketball courts, we don't want people on the skate park courts, obviously that's an option.
Now I have majority of events start at 6:30.
You gotta go.
You gotta.
Sorry, you gotta say, keep talking, you gotta get up. So people have to go hear you. So go.
Yes.
That's okay. I wanted folks in the room to finish first.
Totally lost my train of thought there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, so most of the events on the page, you know, the city's page, they start at 6:30 PM. So you have this park that's not even really being utilized for the entire day before it even starts, you know? I think that is something we need to look into as well, you know? If we do have to close it down for Mill Pond Live for a 2-day event, that's fine, that's 2 days. But, I mean, these movie nights or these music nights that are occurring, they all happen at night. You know, most people, the park's gonna be utilized mostly during the day anyways.
Thank you.
Just, this is a great discussion. I think in terms of the design, you know, it never fully came to fruition. So the newer members didn't even have that precursor discussion. Again, you know, 2 years ago is when the effort stopped at Millside to turn their attention to evaluating the other sites. So the committee through the CPA committee, the skate park group has remaining dollars for the design. So that's something that has been on hold until or if the commission can give a positive kind of approach for Millside, and then that design process will pick up again. And so they're, you know, for the grant that would fund this, the park grant, it's required at a minimum to have one community meeting. But I think before that, there would be consultation with the Parks Commission and the Parks Department about the design and the arrangement and the features. Maybe not exactly the skateboard features, but the other features that are around it. And that's an essential part of the process that the skate park group has stopped and would like to start again as soon as there's, you know, some kind of affirmative vote from the Parks Commission. I think that there's been some hesitancy to spend that money without commitment from the parks to move forward with that site. So that's something I just wanted to reiterate, that the questions that you're coming up with are really great questions. And that process stopped to allow the commission to pursue, you know, the Perry Street. So, you know, the hope is that we could get back on track. I think we're going to miss there's an opportunity for a grant in July. I think we're going to miss that. So that's the third year in a row that we've missed, you know, the opportunity for 500,000, but the committee would like to pick that back up. Yeah.
The next park grant, the Girls Good Park, is actually gonna go for the spray park. It's already in motion.
Great. I hope it's happening this July, because that's great. But I think
You get a better idea. So you're probably looking a couple of years before you would see it. We'd be able to apply.
that's great. But the design and the efforts in these discussions should start with earnest, because every year that we miss an opportunity for a grant that's just money that's not getting access. So
I'm sure the design can be done pretty quickly once it's approved by the park.
When will that be?
Right now, I have 3-4 new members. So the main reason we've had these meetings is because they haven't been involved. Basically, the park commission lost multiple new members in it. As it being the chairman, I wasn't comfortable having these people making a vote on anything that they didn't have any idea what they were voting on. So that's why we've had these series of meetings. And yes, I know it's monotonous. I know it's stressful. But the bottom line is I'm trying to get everybody up to speed so they can make an intelligent or a conscious decision. So that's why we're here tonight. And then next month, we can kind of get together and go through it, because this is more informational than anything else.
You'll know by next month.
I'm not saying, I can't guarantee we vote next month, but I can guarantee you that we got to go one way or the other. I'm personally, to be honest, I'm tired of talking about it. Either we make a decision or we don't.
Well, me too. It's like, I really would.
I appreciate that.
Before I'm dead.
And before I'm dead too.
So just here,
sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I was getting some feedback. Is that happening for anybody else?
No, you're good.
Great. I also want to reiterate, just feeling very grateful for my fellow commissioners for kind of structuring this process to bring us up to speed as new members, and for all of the community members for continuing to engage in these conversations with us, and having the patience for us to catch up with you all as newer members. I'm feeling really informed as a result of these past few meetings that we've had around these topics of the dog park and the skate park. And just to go back to some of this previous conversation around like what happens when larger events are happening, at least in the case of many of those events that were referenced on the document that you all were shared in person. I live in that Ferry Street, Parsons Street neighborhood right on the other side of the Lower Mill Pond. And when I'm walking around, I often see flyers or like lawn signs advertising those events. And I imagine folks who are utilizing the Millside Park in a day-to-day way, whether that's for basketball purposes or a potential future skate park, would also see those flyers and lawn signs and would be able to make, I imagine, would be able to make some informed decisions leading up to the days of those events happening about whether or not they would want to be there around a lot of public like crowds and whatnot, or to decide against that, or go anyway and be part of that experience in a different way. Yeah, so just like wanting to acknowledge that like we as community members, I'm trusting like, and our young people, I really believe that we can like use our skills and our like awareness of one another to be able to make like informed decisions about how we do and don't utilize space on a day-to-day way, especially if there's different things happening. So just want that to be part of the conversation too.
I'm good.
Okay.
Is there anyone else? Do you got any comment on there? Somewhere?
I would just like to just make one, just point out one thing, and I just want this stated again. When Citizen Bag repeatedly talks about all these various sources of funding that could go towards a skate park, I just want it to be acknowledged that the people who work for the Parks and Recreation Department are currently working in squalor in buildings that should have been condemned 20 years ago. This commission, I've only been on for 5 years, has been trying to build a safe and healthy workspace for our city employees, which hasn't seemed to have been a priority for the city planning department in the past. For me personally, I'm not opposed to a skate park. I'm most likely going to be voting in favor of identifying, looking at Millside as a potential site, but I will not be in favor of any funding that goes to any further expansion of park services or facilities until we provide basic amenities for our employees. The fact that we have city employees that are at risk every single day, that are underpaid and work in filth, is offensive to me. And it doesn't seem to be that is a priority for other people in city government. I will vote in favor of this tonight, but I think that the planning department has not been totally honest in these discussions leading up to this evening.
So with that being,
Can
go
I have
ahead.
a follow-up question? Because I don't know all the funding sources. Is the funding source for the new building the same as like a project like a dog park or a skate park, or
And if I could answer, I think if I can answer for my friend here, I think a lot of people are assuming, and my own bias, I'll apologize ahead of time, are assuming that the city is going to come in and pitch in some money to help out. That hasn't happened in 20 years for the park. So that, I guess, is maybe what
Help out
he's
for
trying
the
to point out.
buildings or help out for the dog park?
I'm saying in
Any-
general, we have a building, and we have basically a building that should be condemned in the park that the city has done nothing for. So if you, and I'm not, you guys get whatever funding you can get, more power to you. But if you
it's
think
not on you guys.
if you
It's on the
think
city.
if you think the city,
Constantly bring it up, and they're not mutually exclusive.
they're not mutually exclusive, correct? But we just want to, for what it's going to cost you to build that skate park. If I guess we're trying to point out to you, if we're going to rely on the city to help, don't count. That's all. That's it. You're right. You're right. It's mutually exclusive. Agreed, 100%. Okay.
Okay, I do have a question. So pickleball. Pickleball courts seem to have gotten fast tracked in the city. You know, pickleball is a newer thing. It's kind of coming up in every town around us. You guys were pretty hot to trot in getting pickleball courts built. What about, you know, refurbishing your buildings and
That's again different sources of funding. The pickleball was a committee that presented to us and came in with a fairly amount. You're talking about, I believe the first one was $100,000. That, and I believe they kicked in over maybe half. So it's a different building a building is a little different than putting it on.
but you guys still fast tracked it. You know, it was still
It
something.
was approved. We fast tracked. It was approved. The CPA. Now they came in with. If you walk in, I can't think that's it. They walked in with funds, and we went to the CPA, and the CPA approved it. You're talking compared to building a skate park or a dog park was a pittance. So it's also, to be honest with you, different type of funding. You know, the open space, you know how much money's in the open space account in the CPA right now?
I do not.
48 cents.
Nice.
Okay.
We got one in our account.
Maybe you could give us a loan.
We've given enough money.
Funding is difficult to come by. And again, it's a black hole we can jump down and argue about all night. Understood. I get it. So go ahead. Jeff, go ahead.
If I just wanted to offer that, from the best of my understanding, I no longer work for the planning department, just in case that wasn't clear. I was speaking on behalf of a resident. The funding source for construction of new recreational facilities is different than funding sources for construction of a building. You know, for example, the maintenance building, they don't come from the same funding sources, just for clarity. And shoot, the other thing, I had one observation about, two observations I figured out. Pickleball, you know, the skate park and maybe the dog park are a little bit at a disadvantage to when you compare to pickleball, because pickleball has a space and they're looking to grow. So they have a location that they can build off of and use that for fundraising. And I think both these groups have not had that opportunity. So I think it's not quite apples to apples on that one. And then the CPA has come up before. So the Community Preservation Act funds, you know, the chairperson has said there's $0 in there, which is factually correct, but the budget gets replenished every year. And so the city is forecasted to have about $840,000 available for projects starting in July. There's a gray area. I listened to the budget meeting for CPA. I just think that people should be understanding that that fund gets replenished annually. And while CPA may need to be a little bit more careful how they distribute the funds, there will be funds available for those types of projects, maybe not all in one fell swoop. But I think it's a little bit unfair to say that there's no money available because it's an annual reoccurring budget. So I just
In
want
July, they're going to get $120,000.
right. Plus the other revenue that comes into that account will yield about 800,000 that could be available for various projects. I'm not saying for one project, but
There's a ticket on, there's an affordable housing, $250,000 of that's going to go to is going to go separate into an account for the old city hall. There's another 500,000 that's going to be put into the Ferry Street affordable housing.
yeah, over 2 years. Yep. So I just think we
I agree.
just want to be careful how that gets phrased for the public, that it's not a zero balance forever. It's a zero balance for, you know, the next month or so.
It's
Thanks.
also not going to be given in 5 minutes. Okay.
John has pointed out the pickleball raised over $35,000.
So go ahead. Your turn.
Just want to put on the record real quick that the Skate Park Association is in absolute support that the Parks Department needs more money, deserves a good building to work out of, deserves whatever they need. We believe a skate park would benefit that cause by creating more activity within the parks. That being said, the building and the skate park are completely separated elements and do not deserve to be brought up in the same meeting, unless you are telling the splash pad the same thing, unless you are telling the Parsons Street Park the same thing, because it gets brought up in every meeting that the skate park won't get built until the maintenance building's built, but they're not the same thing and they don't deserve to be discussed in the same meeting.
I can assure you that I bring up the maintenance building at pretty much every park department meeting, regardless of what else is on the agenda.
I think maybe you should refrain from doing that. And you should work on getting the maintenance building built in whatever channels you need, but in the public forum for a dog park or a skate park, it has no relevance.
Well, we have elected officials here, so I'm voicing my opinion in their presence.
Go to city council meetings. I don't know what to
I
say,
do
but
that.
I'm just saying that, you know, that this discussion is about the skate park and the dog park, right? So it should stay that way.
Is there anyone else? Okay. So at this point, I'm not going to call for a vote because basically, I would like the opportunity of people to process what we've discussed this evening. So we will put it on the agenda for our next meeting.
I'm curious because I mean, I feel like we have been saturated in this for the past couple of months with all the information, and the next step for the skate park community would be to be able to explore Nonotuck and work with the commission around what that design would look like, incorporating all the elements. And I feel like I'm ready to move forward on that.
I would have no problem calling that vote, actually.
All right, in general.
For Nonotuck or for Millside?
For Millside.
For Millside.
So am I
made that
getting a
into a
general
motion.
gist of the commission that will put a motion in place to
Motion to allow the skate park
to
to investigate design for Millside. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Four. All opposed?
Sorry, I thought we were going to be called upon.
Right, I approve.
Okay, Jisla?
Yes.
Aye. Carolyn?
Yes.
I have that aye, so anyone opposed? So I guess it passes unanimously.
And then related to this conversation that Joshua brought up was moving forward with a meeting with city councilors around the budget for the park department and kind of figuring out how we can increase that and what that planning would look like. And so I want to make sure that we have like a next step action to do that. I don't know that it needs a motion, but like I wonder if John could put it on the agenda for the next time.
Yeah. And I know that there's already John and Andy and I as subcommittee members or not subcommittee, but like ad hoc meeting to talk with or present to the finance committee anyway about like some ideas around how to support the parks department more. So I think bringing this to our following like Parks Commission meeting makes sense. And also there are already some channels that have been opened around these conversations. So just wanted to like make that connection too.
So we'll put it, we'll issue it on the agenda for next meeting. You good?
I want to encourage the skate park committee. You know, today we came in, you guys handed out this to us. For me, myself, I want to see something preemptively. So if you have renderings of, you know, drawings, same thing with the dog park, really. If we receive this before the meeting, that's certainly helpful to us. It gives us a chance to kind of digest this. I've been going through this, you know, today, and you know, frankly, it's good information, but it's great information for those of us who haven't been here in the past, right? It sort of recaps some things, but I want a chance to digest it before we get to this type of forum. So I would encourage that maybe a couple of days prior. Well, that, you know,
We've been working on it.
Yeah.
And the intention really was to fill in the new commission members. And so we can email a copy. I don't know if that happened yet, but
Yeah, have a copy of my computer at work.
please do so. I'm a visual person. I travel the Northeast. I see skate parks everywhere. There's ones that me personally I love, and then there's other ones that I don't like at all. I was here for some of your first renderings that were I liked them, right? But I think we could improve upon them as well. And again, the same goes with the dog park. Visually, I would love to be able to see it in its current, in the space that you guys would desire.
Yeah, and Carolyn and Jishva are commissioners who are meeting remotely, and they're stating they haven't had access to this, so they would like to see it.
Can you include the website as well? Because that had a lot of the visuals that you had before and
Yep.
in color. That's great.
Also provide us with email address if I don't have it, they're not available on the Parks and Rec website.
If
I
you
think
send
if
them,
you
if you send them to John, John will get them to us.
Yeah.
He's forwarded everything.
We have a shared,
Yeah.
that way he can send, he'll get it, he can send it to all of us at the same time, we'll all get it.
And can I ask a clarifying question about the vote taking place tonight? Is that, what's expected from us now?
So that was the votes that I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're good, but everybody likes to talk to me, but go ahead.
So this was the vote that, to be fair, has been brought up in the past, particularly at the big meeting in the band shell, where we have identified Millside Park now as the potential sites to explore for a skate park. So now the planning departments, the city, the wheels are in motion now. You got what you wanted. This is what you were asking for a couple of years. You guys won tonight.
So now we just move forward to the finalized design to present to our.
Can I'm sorry. This is Carolyn. Can I just say something? First of all, I think that we all win. I think this is great.
Yes. Sorry.
These are great exchange of ideas, and I think we're all winning. I would also just like to request that when we get to talking about design, as a commissioner looking at this really from a higher, actually like an above the ground level, I think it's really important that the commission be involved in design as well, because I think we have to look at this as not just a skate park. This is an integrated design of Millside Park. So I just don't want to see you spend money on design when I think that maybe we have to have further conversations about what that would look like to best serve the community, where it can both meet the needs of the community that are going to use Millside Park as things in addition to just also, the skaters who are going to use it for the skate park. Is that clear? I'm tired, so I might not be making a lot of sense, but I just think we should be involved in that conversation.
John got a better feeling. John, you can probably roll down exactly how the process is how this process will begin. John,
just to Carolyn's point, like a prime example is with the pickleball courts. There a committee was formed. We met on site with the designer. We got the feedback from pickleball folks. They had really good ideas that fit into the park design and what the park can handle, and overall our goals with parking and everything else. So, having it is on park property, so having park involved to make sure we are looking at the things that concern us, maintenance, path, roadways where people can get back to the band shell, things like that, are all very important that need to be addressed. So, whether it's in, that doesn't have to be the day-to-day minutia, because currently, until we get through the next few weeks with the pool project, I certainly don't need any more minutia. But that whether it's a couple members on the commission that want to be part of an ad hoc towards this, but having input is going to be the key, and working as a partnership for sure.
Okay. One more.
Can
Carol was up to.
So just something that Jeff Bagg had said about as part of the design, there would be community input. I mean, I've certainly been to the Main Street planning where there's time for people to work together. I feel like not just commissioners and skate park, but other community stakeholders, and allowing them to have input is really important for our community. So I don't know what that process looks like, but I think there is a clearly set out process for new design projects in the city, and we should mirror that.
Hi, my name is Cassie Kraggert. I'm the conservation agent for the city of Easthampton, but I'm here because I've been the planning department staff person who's kind of taken on keeping track of the project and trying to understand the stages that it's at. And I've been helping maintain the communications with the previous planning that was kind of on pause while we were waiting to see about this decision. I've been working with a group called Platform Group, and we have a scope from them that is ready to be executed, was waiting for this kind of decision now. So I was hoping that would be helpful just to understand where it's at in terms of how we can keep moving forward to try to get this design to you. And then I would plan to talk to the platform group and see what would be the way to best integrate the commission's comments and perspectives on how that is designed going forward. But
So would that be similar to how GZA came and presented, if that group could come, or?
I'm sure it's going to be a public meeting.
Yeah. Is that what you were thinking?
I think so. I don't remember exactly what was in the scope, unfortunately, but there are 2 meetings that were included in the scope, if I remember correctly. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there were meetings incorporated in the scope that we got from them, and that the cost of that scope fits with the funding that we still have available, I think, from the CPA.
Any more comments?
I really did, thank you.
We have, not to rush you guys out here, but we have additional orders of business that we're supposed to. I'm sorry, don't leave yet. One more.
It's not for the skate park. I kind of want to just put a little bit more pressure on the dog park as well. I know obviously you guys are going to look into Nonotuck. The more I've been, I want you to look into Nonotuck. I think obviously, like you mentioned, it is kind of the unofficial dog area. But when you're looking at the plain and strong things, you have 2 no's, which a big one is the not open all year, which hopefully we can work out, but may never happen. I'd like you to maybe look into plain and strong as well, just in case, to like kind of get ahead of, just in case it doesn't happen at Nonotuck. You don't have to start all over again. Obviously, I don't know if that's an option, but don't dismiss plain and strong. So I'm curious as to why it wasn't a bigger hole for you guys to look there when you have more of like the maybes and the yeses rather than any no's.
That's it. Anybody else?
Just a quick comment, Lisa Downing, that in regard to the insufficient facilities, which I know is not why we're talking tonight, but I as myself, and I know a lot of these other folks are real park and recreation lovers. So I think if we can start thinking, you could be thinking of us as allies in terms of when you need advocacy help around that, you have Joe, and hopefully the communication, I'm sure the skate park folks feel the same way, that we would be there for you, because, there's no reason for you to be working in insufficient facilities. So.
They're not. It's the people that work. Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, no, we do not. Still has battery.
Well, wait, there's still.
No, because
But
they
they
can hear
won't
us
be
here.
speaking.
Oh,
We're done. We're done with the speakers.
Yeah.
We got-
Okay.
John's
They
gotta
can
get
hear
the
us still.
speakers.
Gotcha. Yeah.
2 updates. Thanks, Johnny. Thank you. Don't worry about that. We'll get them.
Yeah, we got it.
We got 2 more items to go, and I'll be back on those. All right. So, John, you're on. So before we keep guys, please. So, we got 2 more items.
Okay. You ready for me?
Yes, sir. Pool project.
Okay, pool project. We are coming down the final stretch. The liner company will be in at 5:30 tomorrow morning and hopefully finishing by 7 o'clock tomorrow night. We have the electrician scheduled on Tuesday to hook up all the components for the filtration system, the chlorine system, all new high tech, all unbelievable stuff. So we're hoping to be filling the pool by Wednesday next week. We still have that hard June 1st deadline. We have the park grant inspection with the state is June 7th. So if there is any little blips in the radar here, we do have a little bit of time to work things out. But we're coming right down to the nitty gritty on this, and but I think we're going to meet the deadline. Next week, South Shore Gunite will be in to do the installation of the ladders, the lifeguard chairs, the ADA accessible chair. All that stuff is brand new equipment, and it's really going to look sharp for sure. So exciting time. With including on the pool project, we have 6 lifeguards hired, and we have an offer into a pool manager that We should hear hopefully by the end of the week on whether they're accepting the position or not. So very comfortable on the staffing level. So we're gonna have no problem opening up once we get a few things. A few inspections have to be done. The Board of Health inspection, but that the Board of Health inspector is going on maternity leave at any moment. And then we'll be looking to outsource, whether it's Northampton or how we're going to get it inspected. And same with the building inspector. It's going to have to be outsourced as well, because the city is currently without a building inspector, and that has to be inspected before it can be open. So I've kind of reached out to a few channels to make sure that leadership and folks understand the time crunch. I had these things set up well in advance, and now it looks like we're going to be shuffling to get those done. But I'm confident we will, and having us have enough time in between when the project has to be completed until we actually open is about 3 weeks. So I'm very comfortable with getting full operations going and inspected and certified. So exciting time with that. Looking at June 20th as the open house, ribbon cutting, and park grant open house for the spray park, all in one big shot. While we got people there excited about the improvements of the pool, I think it's a good opportunity to present the plans for the reno for the spray park, which, as was alluded to, that deadline is July 11th. I've already got pricing for the renovation. It is at 500,000. The grant for the park grant is 500,000 at a 68% reimbursement. So we're looking at probably 150,000 for the city's investment to getting an updated spray park that recirculates water, does not go water in, does not go water out, add some new features, new surfacing that is better for maintenance and better for the clientele that use it. The asphalt gets slick that we have on there now. We want to move to a concrete surface. So we're moving pretty fast on that. It goes pretty quick, but I did do the webinar and have talked to the state about it, and we'll talk to the state again when they're on site in the first week of June. But they're fully aware and excited that we want to continue on in that area. Actually, Melissa's comment was, I thought you might be worn out from the pool project. I didn't think you'd be in on this, but she's from the state, and I said, we're kind of rejuvenated by how well the pool came out. It's pretty amazing how awesome it is. With that as well, because we didn't put anything into the pool house itself, the 3 doors, the 2 bathroom doors and the infirmary doors are beat, awful looking. We dropped $3,000 out of our pocket and I've already bought the doors, and we're going to install them, but we're going to have fresh new doors and painted and looking sharp. So when you come in there, you will see everything from the outside will look new, fresh, and refurbished. So June 20th, open house ribbon cutting, 6 to 7. I've already got the DJ. We'll have refreshments, things like that. I will send out later this week or the beginning of next week. I'll send out notices on that. Sam's working up a flyer. That's really, she has a nice touch for those types of design things. So she's working up a flyer for us. I did contact the mayor, Omar, and Dan Riss, formerly the CPA, already, just to have them mark it on their calendars because we want city leadership there as well. So we'll get the word out, but that's the plan on that.
The gang are at Tanglewood the next day, John. So that's a big weekend for me.
Oh, very nice. Let's see here.
All the
summer,
important.
summer programming, camp staff's hired, camp registrations are through the roof. Pool staff's hired. I have, and 2 interviews next week for park labor seasonal positions that just want to work the summer. One's a teacher here in town, and the other one is a former employee who wants to come back and work for the summertime. So two valuable additions if we can get them to help. We really get hurt on the weekends. It is so busy turning when you have to open up the park, open up bathrooms, open up everything, all the facilities, and then turn over 4 pavilions from the night before and have 4 the next day on Sunday. It is near impossible to get done. And these the staff comes in really early and works really hard in 2.5 hours to turn around this. So getting some extra bodies on the weekends will go a long way on top of everything else they do throughout the day. So it's a real crunch. And so I'm excited to be able to potentially get some extra bodies in here this summer to help out, at least on a short-term basis, where we really need it during the busy season and not so much on the off-season times. It's not really under summer program, but vehicles were approved and one is in already and the other one is in transit. So we should have 2 new vehicles by June 1. I've already set up to have the lights installed, radios, everything's in line, ready to go. So we're in good shape there. And then, excuse me, still battling this cold. DCR earmark, we received a $25,000 DCR earmark for ADA improvements. And we're going to, where phase 1 of the pool project ends at the new playground area. This will continue an ADA path and connect in to a few ADA features. So we're excited that we're able to secure that $25,000. And because the pool project was such an overrun, we could not get it done on this first round of funding that we did. So we're going to be in good shape on that. So I think we've had a long night. I think that's about it for now. For me, we did meet as a pickleball, as I mentioned, as we discussed the other projects. That pickleball folks, Carolyn, myself, Bill Cannon, had a really productive meeting. The pickleball folks came with some really good ideas, and more importantly, when the costs were set as high as they were anticipated, they came in with concessions. They wanted shade structures, they wanted sheds, things like that, and they said, you know what, we need 2 pickleball courts, and we'll worry about that other stuff later on. So we really appreciated the sensitivity of the funding source, especially with CPA having less than $1 in it until after July 1. That they understood that and they really worked with helping us to get 2 courts and get it done affordably. So I think they need to be applauded for their efforts on raising money, but also being cognizant of costs and as well.
Yeah, and I want
That's
to
all
thank
I got for tonight.
Before you go, John, I want to thank Carolyn for her work on that committee. I'm sure she was very impolite.
She did awesome.
Thank you, Carolyn.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Is there anything else?
It said summer programming on the agenda.
That was the summer program.
That was summer program. That was a big summer overview.
He just rolled right into it. You got to watch John. He does that. Once
I saw summer and I gave you the whole summer synopsis.
I think in my head I had like
Camp
summer
Nautica.
camp, and that's
he
why
did
I was
comment
like
that.
waiting.
He
for
did.
that.
You were typing this one. Camp Montauk is open.
Yep.
It's booming. They hired people.
Oh, I put
Staff's
the
all
parent.
set.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you were typing hiring.
Yeah.
that's what he was
So
talking
that's when the
And lifeguards.
Yes,
And
that I
And
got.
lifeguards are hired. Yep.
I just missed the opening statement, which would have given me context.
No, you got to watch John.
Yeah.
And football's going great. Fighting Monty's got our first win last night.
Nice.
All right. So at this point, is there any other discussion? Do you have anything else to discuss? I'll entertain a thought that we can, motion to end the meeting.
Yeah, right here.
Do we have to
I
know the
second that.
meeting date before we do
Well, I
that?
think like that's a good idea.
yeah.
Next meeting that we did say we're gonna schedule one. I do not.
We can't do the 19th. It's a holiday.
Yeah. Could we do the 18th? I know usually
I'm
it's
away.
Wednesdays, but okay.
Could we do the 20th?
Tonight,
Well-
20th are open house.
The open house.
Ribbon cutting house.
You want to just like fold it in with that too. I'm being sarcastic. Sorry.
It's been too
Went
long
right
of a
over my
night.
head.
We're all like, what?
It's too soon.
26th, the following Wednesday?
You want to do the
Or
following?
do the earlier, the 12th? Do we want to meet before the opening or the after?
Yeah.
Right now, I got a full plate. If we can hold off until, even if it's that Monday, the 24th would be fine with me. Instead of the Wednesday, the 26th. When we start getting to year end, it's a wild time, closing out everything.
So would you like to do Monday? So I hear Monday the 24th then?
That's fine with me. I'm
Okay.
throwing it out there.
You okay with the 24th on a Monday?
That works.
All right, that works. So next meeting will be Monday, June 24th. Can we go back to 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Are we okay
Yes.
with that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Go to sleep. Okay. So now I will entertain, I think I already have a motion.
Yes, you do.
And I have a second, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Jisva?
Aye.
Carolyn?
Aye.
All righty. So meeting adjourned at 8:38.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.